and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension pioneers and all you beautiful souls of light that are around here and watching my video. So I actually created a very broad galactic update recently, and I felt this was going to be my last video before I take a little bit of the holiday before the solstice. But then I was hiking in these beautiful mountains today, which I call the heart of the Alps, and suddenly I got this guidance and a vision that this is actually going to be the last video. So this video is like a synthesis of everything that I've worked for many years, because I was meant to bring a certain group of beings who are more advanced beings on this planet to the level, to the state of being fully fifth density beings to create within the fifth dimensional template. So what this video will be about is to focus how to align the mind and the heart as the cosmic beloved activation to really live, but not just live, but create within this fifth dimensional essence. And what this means is also to know how to move beyond it. So there's many of us who've been moving into this state, and as we come to this state, there's going to be new planes, new realms of being that will present themselves to us, but we have to really start creating from this fusion. This video is also meant for everyone who's ascending, for everyone who's going to watch it at perfect divine timing, because it's a synthesis of what's really, truly the most important directive in our ascension, which is the union. Divine union has been spoken about so many times from so many different angles and people, and a lot of them have been viewing it from the outside, like divine union is something you achieve with another person and then you can ascend, and it's not really about that at all. Divine union is when you merge with your whole self, which is the integration of the cosmic heart of God, the cosmic mind of God, and that you really create from that a fusion, a light being, which is your divine child. It's your light body. And from that light body state, from this ascended state, you get to create on this new template. And because so much in our reality, and as you know, there's many different realities on our planet, has been based upon the mental planes, even people claiming that our thoughts create, and it's not really truth, because, you know, maybe on some level if you're functioning from the mental plane, but the ascended reality is through the heart. It's through the higher heart. And that essence creates you to the heart of all creation. And as you know, a lot of people have been trying to understand the universe and the principles and secrets of creation, which you can't really understand mentally. It's not based on mental planes. This universe is not a mental universe. This is the ebb and flow that is expressed and created through the cosmic living life force. And life force is encoded with light, this higher light. So then this light travels through many different stellar stations, through many systems, gateways, like our sun is one of these, and our earth is the station for this evolution that a lot of souls are now experiencing. And a lot of souls are tired from everything they've been experiencing within this density, and really are finally ready to move into the higher ascended light of their true creation fusion. So the universe and the universal principles will be understood by you as you activate this higher heart, and then new and new levels and layers of creation will present themselves to you. It's almost like it's a journey. It's a journey of knowing more of the creative life force. It's a journey of knowing more about life and how everything is beautifully designed within the grand plan of creation. So my book that I'm currently working on, and it's quite close to its completion, it's about the synthesis of my work so far, which is all about the mission of volunteer souls and how we assist within the creation of this new reality, which is, you know, it's an undertaking within the principles of creation and the divine design, the divine plan of perfection. And everything is so perfect. You know, the mastery perspective is always, it's already perfect. As humans, when we still function in the lower domains and in the mental planes mainly, we always try to reason with things. And the part of the ascending reality and much of the New Age circles is everyone's trying to change everyone else. Everyone's trying to wake everyone up. And the awakening does not happen from the outside. Your soul awakens you when it's your time. It's an organic ascension pathway. So when we are fused within this creatrix level of the heart and mind functioning as one, we're going to be entering through our own gateway. And as much as the ascension happens on many different planes of being, it's also within your personal domain, your personal journey, and your initiative of the soul when you are ready. So people who are functioning on survival mode and mental plane reality only, they can't move further. And I always say that because the mind can only get you so far. The mind can do tasks, operations, solve problems, equations, but the mind does not understand the universe. The mind does not understand how everything in creation is structured, and not just this universe, but your cosmic consciousness, which a lot of the yogis have been talking about. And the mind, in a way, when you are predominantly functioning from the mind, will always tell you reasons why this and that's supposed to be this way, because it has a fixed idea, or it has a limited perception. So even if your heart is partially already activated, but you still have a little bit of the problems because you're still tuning into the mental planes and this reality, which you think, okay, it has to be somehow a part of it, but it's not yet complete. It's not synthesized. It's not integrated as one being, which is your light body self, and how you operate from that level of your ascended self. It will always create a little distortion. It will always distract you from that unity, from your unity, cohesive inner feeling that just knows. It's your cosmic beloved heart, and that's the true beloved I always talk about. It's not a person. It might be, mirrored through you when you get in this level of essence self through another person. You can share that in a sacred relationship, but it's not about the person. So the mind, because it's so limited in its perception, if you have a manifestation, right, and you want to create something, people always say they're blocked. In a way, that might seem as a reality, but we're never truly blocked. It's just that the mind delays things because you can't see the variables and different options and potentialities, because the mind will give you a certain, filtered pathway, like this is how it's supposed to be. The heart feels, and you somehow feel something, but you can't fully align with that. And a lot of people are trying to access this ascension through the mind, and they're always getting back the same result, and they're not able to embody this into reality. They can't become ascended in the physical. And I knew someone like that who was very mental in their perceptions, and the person always talked about ascension, and I could not see him as the ascended being. It was very limited. He was very mental, and he was trying to think things through, and it was logical perception, but our cosmic creation is not logical. We have logic to function in certain ways that are physical, but it's only a tiny part, and the fusion has to be created. So I remember I was spending some time with that person, and the main feeling that I always get when I was around them, they knew no joy. There was no joy in them. And everything that I showed them, like, oh, look at this butterfly, oh, look at this, look at that, they were like, oh yes, like this weird perception. And I remember taking the person to this magical place, right? It's my beautiful vortex spot. And I show them, and the person's reaction was so weird. It's almost like they didn't know what to do with themselves. There was like, can we go? They felt so uncomfortable. And when you know you're in this higher light body self, you become like a child. And I've been experiencing this for this whole year. It's getting deeper and deeper. Like, I can't function anymore like this, serious person. And I know a lot of my videos seem like it's very serious because I'm showing ascension from this focused higher self perspective, which is you have to do the work. It's not, like, you can do whatever and you're still gonna ascend. It's not like that. That's why I present it from a very serious, oriented, focused perspective, but I'm not a serious being at all. And there's those of you who've been perhaps following me on Instagram, and you've been looking at my stories, and you know that that's not so. I'm very playful. I'm always playing, and that playful creativity is the fifth density template. It's the heart of the lion, the creatrix, this feline essence within us that just knows how to move with every single energy pattern. And when you're around a person who's logically thinking through everything, and they just can't find themselves to be this natural, organic self, they almost look like a robot. And that's how I felt next to that person. I felt almost like, I don't know what it'd take for me to slap them or something. They just couldn't wake up from that mental reality. And I knew that somehow with these people we can plant the seeds, but we can't really change anyone. Why? Because change is not an external state of conditioning. Then it's again just conditioning. And I see a lot of people who think they're waking up, they try to wake others up, but unless you're fully integrated being, you can't wake anyone up, because you're not creating the ripple effect of the awakened energy within yourself. So when you integrate, when you become an integrated essence being, you have a greater impact on others, but you don't have to do that by externally changing them. You don't even have to share knowledge with someone who's perhaps not ready. We don't do that. We create things through light infusion, and I have this beautiful story to share with you. There's a lot of beings like that who went through that in their own journey. And recently I received this gift. It's a book. It's called Integral Yoga by Sri Aurobindo. And I just looked a little bit about it and, you know, the story behind it. And a friend got it for me, and he told me, you know, he was once arrested and he was too much dealing with the politics. So then he had to withdraw himself. And when he got this voice of guidance from spirit to withdraw, everything started to align with his path. He was not convicted as a felon because, you know, there were dangerous political situations back then in India. And he was the only one who was actually released. And then everything aligned, everything worked for him because he allowed the life force, he allowed the living force of spirit to guide him. And he was going more and more further into his withdrawal, into this hermitage. And that's where he started doing his work. And spirit showed him how he's actually just needing to emit that. And everything, all the life force, ooh, and I have goosebumps saying that, just goes out and it infuses awe with this higher light. And that's how many avatar beings function and operate, because we do create this higher template here. And a lot of people are trying to access this through the outside, but that's not where true ascension takes place. It's just not how it is. So the more refined you will get in your inner integration, and this is what we're going to talk about today as a deepening of this consciousness, the more you will see that this is something you have to work within your wholeness. And we have 4 lower bodies, and all of these need to be synthesized. We also know the 5 basic elements, because the 5th one, the ether, is the synthesis. And we know these elements as the living structure of how everything on this physical plane of being comes from spirit fused with matter. And a lot of people have been feeling like spirit is separate, like the spirit and then there's us humans, like petty little humans, right? That's not true ascension at all. And some people are trying to access this creation only from the spirit level, and nothing ever changes in their life. And that's what I'm saying. It's not even spirit. A lot of people are doing this mentally. And I knew a lot of people who've been saying, oh, I wish for that. I wish I did what you do. I wish I was like this. You know, but their daily reality stayed the same. It was all this routine, and they did not know how to access this higher light and bring it into integration. It's because they stayed in the mental planes. And in the previous video, in the Galactic Update, I talked to you about what the mental planes are and how a lot of this distortion and manipulation of the lower astral realms have been coming through the mental planes of reality, because that's the plane you can manipulate. You can manipulate the heart. The heart knows. It's always connected with the divine cosmic motherhood, with the divine essence of our true heritage, our cosmic parenthood in a way. So when the heart and mind start to work together as one unit, it's the heart simply feels and the mind follows, and it operates the tasks with which you need to get things down into the physical. And you work with all the elements. You have to get practical. A lot of that ascension is also practical, as much as, you know, you think it's just spiritual. It's very pragmatic, and I wanted to write my book from that perspective of being very practical and pragmatic as well, joined with that esoterical understanding from the higher. But you can't really embody the esoterical without that pragmatic. That's the union of spirit and matter. So in this alignment, you will feel that your heart will know things. And I'm going to give you this example from today about how to really merge with that timeline, which is joy. Joy is the aspect when you know you embody something. So I was walking here, I was hiking, right? And I just started walking the path. We have this biker path, and there was all these bikes, and, you know, and I wasn't really alone, but for a while I felt like fully alone. And I had this remembrance, or I tuned into this particular timeline of something that I, you know, desire or know. It's a part of my path. It's not here yet physically, but I tuned somehow by just thinking of something. I saw like a vision, and I instantly felt this feeling, which it's a rare occurrence, because a lot of the times we're so busy, we don't allow for this to occur in our bodies. That's the thing. But I felt it as this jolt of joy. I'm sure you had that feeling before. It's the feeling when something most beautiful overflows you and you cannot put a label on it. It's not like something has to happen physically, but there it is. You're tuning into the cosmic heart of the essence of that thing, and that's how you bring it into your reality. It's not like here. It's not a wishful thinking. It's not airy-fairy energy. So I had this beautiful knowing, and I started laughing. It felt so good. Something just felt so good, and I was laughing. I was like, oh, I can't stop laughing. I was laughing for 5 minutes. But it was that inner laughter, you know, not like you watch a comedy or something, like a movie and you laugh from the outside. It's because it's funny. But it's the most joyful inner laughter, like this giggling from the inside. It was just so magical. And I was just happy. They're laughing. And then I get this message. This is the timeline. You've already felt it. You've already experienced it through the heart. And that's how it will come into reality in this perfect divine timing. Because there's also certain things that we sometimes say, oh, if I'm creating from the heart, I got to have this and that because, you know, I'm being in my heart. But a lot of people are trying to mentally be in the heart. And you can't mentally be in the heart. You got to let it go. You got to do the inner work of withdrawing yourself from the collective consciousness, because that's what's keeping you in that state. And even certain books, they're not encoded. They're just programs. A lot of New Age material is just new programs that keep overwriting you. Over and over, it's like you're going in a hamster wheel, like circles and circles, but you're not tuning into this galactic pulse of light at the cosmic heart of the beloved. So you can't feel this. And I've met these people. They talk about ascension, but they feel how their embodiment feels, how their energy is in presence, and that's the true grounded embodied being. It's like how you literally, what you embody, not what you talk about. And a lot of them feel very robotic, very logical, very structured. It's almost like, what reality? I don't know. They're tuning into these mental planes. And it's not really how we create ascension and bring through the consciousness of the fifth dimension and the fifth density being within us. So for some beings, because they're not so in awareness of that, or a lot of them have been tuning so much into these programs, they can't let that go. And I've experienced when I try to, you know, bring through the real infusion of light through these beings, a lot of times they will argument with you. They'll say, nah, you don't know, I'm spiritual too, blah, 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 all these things. They will always be argumentative. So don't do that. Just let them go. Let them experience what they need to experience. Because like I said, your assistance to others will come once you integrate yourself. And when you do, I'm going to tell you, you will know, because you will have no need to assist someone from the outside, but that which will be assisted will come from the higher plane of reality, from the higher light, from the light infusion, and this co-creation where people will come to you and they will know what they need from you. It will be like an instant exchange. It's like this, because it's pulsating. It's not like, ooh, hooked, you know, we have to be together to manifest this in my reality. No, it's like this constant pulse, meeting, joining, you know, like DNA, right? So it's not something we can access from that level. I've also experienced a lot of people who say, oh, I like this. People are all like these ascension guides now. Ooh, I want to be that too. So they create a lot of things around that. So they would push that reality. But if something is not within your spirit domain, it's not your purpose, it's not your mission, it will not happen. And you're just going to be misleading yourself and a lot of other people. And you're going to be creating this again from the mental plane, receiving lots of, you know, people say, oh, this is from the heart. And a lot of this is just their own ego talking back to them, because that's how mental reality works. It's in loops. And you never really get to the core of the things that really are meant to be shifted within you. You always just circle around, and it's always the same things. You can't really progress in consciousness. So these people who are doing that, they're never doing it from the expanded consciousness. It's just tossing, and it's recycling knowledge. Someone reads something, I'm going to use that. It's like, bring it back. But it's just recycling. It's not true heart of the beloved. And that, my mission within those 7 years was to bring a lot of you into that space of knowing that, of having understanding what's the difference. And when you are in this space, you will feel pure. You'll feel unplugged from all these things. Even the realities, you would say, they're very terrible that's happening now on the planet. And you would still feel, see, you would still feel not, you know, in a way, you are desensitized. You're still a being that feels. You feel with life. You know when something is sad. You know when something's like that. But you're neutral about it at the same time. There's not a reactive approach to that. If it's something going on in the news or whatever, you are just not, you know, causing like instant reaction. So one advice would be, or recommendation or guideline would be, try to feel into what's really of the heart, because the mind will give you something and then it goes away. The energy is empty. You know, sometimes we have things that come into reality. It's not necessarily the thing that we really want to create from the highest level. Sometimes it's just partial something to get you to another state, but the mind quickly assumes that must be the thing. So you work so hard around it, and then you complain because you feel blocked, because you can't create it because you didn't see the bigger picture. Perhaps it was just something, or move you to a certain event, or to meet a certain person. It's not yet the big, you know, expansion, the big mission integration you really are bringing forth. Something you're really trying to manifest here. And it's not like trying from the mind. It's like just aligning with it. So when you align with the chord of the heart, the fusion of this, the divine mind, which is the creator, so right, the heart of the mother and the mind of God, which is this cosmic consciousness, will fuse naturally. It's not something you have to work for. Oh, now I need to, you know, master cosmic consciousness. No, you have to work on your heart, because it's the heart ascension. And from there, when you do really integrate that, when you do really reach that level in your physical, you don't need to reach levels like, you know, you're climbing certain steps, like it's an endless pathway that's not already in the now. Everything's already present, but in the physical, you have to bring it through. So you will know that this is so, because you won't feel that confusion anymore. And from that space, there will be new levels of expansion, new embodiment, new things coming through. Wow, you know, new perceptions, new visions on real spirit level. Because a lot of people, especially the New Age, has been programmed to make people believe that's the spirit planes. And it's not the spirit planes, it's the astral planes. Like we say, I'm very psychic, or I read psychic energy. Again, I will repeat that psychic energy is not spirit. I've been talking about this since the dawn of my awakening in these videos. I've always been really putting that awareness out for those people who are ready to hear that. And psychic energy is something you pick up in the moment, and it can change and change, like in the astral it's always changing, but that's not the core of the fifth dimensional template. So for us to create on this plane of being in this reality, we have to do the inner work. And a lot of this, lots of pounding here, if you can hear in the mountains, rocks are falling down. Huge rocks, by the way, huge boulder rocks. I'm safe, by the way. I'm safe. And what is really very confusing here is that we somehow don't see until we're in that non-integrated space. We don't always see. So that's why the most practice, the most compassion we can give to ourselves is test things. If something's really for us, let it work out. We always want to instantly react to something like, oh, that must be my manifestation, or that must be the person I'm to meet. I had this recent experience, I told you, when the heart said no. The mind was like, but there's nothing wrong with this situation, but the heart still said no. And there's a reason for it, and the heart knows. It's such a feeling of either joy, which is true alignment, or lack of enthusiasm about it. And the mind wants to always recreate that enthusiasm, like artificially, but the energy will feel empty. So people who do a lot of walking, a lot of talking, not so much walking, I do a lot of walking physically, as you know. Sometimes their energy will feel, if you're an energy reader, you will feel, they feel very flat. They don't feel that expanded. They're not so widespread out in their energy. And you are, because you have integrated that. And your higher heart, the higher mind, I fully function. They're fully synthesized. You're in union. You're in self-union. And from there on, I talked about this before, there's greater levels of divine union that will start expanding. It's not just one set stage. It's really an expanding playground of cohesion. But that's the first step, that the ascending beings and the volunteer souls who are assisting this process, we had to integrate and achieve in that way to make it physical. Ooh, what else? There's one more thing coming up that I've talked about before, and I've written many articles or blogs about this, is that we can quickly feel, because of the state of others and the collective consciousness, feeling of, ooh, my life's too good. You know, people sometimes want to make us feel guilty about it. And I recently had this experience with someone who was so in their story, and I was meant to share light, and I was meant to create a light infusion to assist, but then I was guided also to pull away in divine timing, because I had to. They didn't have the understanding yet of what I was actually trying to show them in a bigger picture. And then I said, no trying, just let the force do its course naturally. And a lot of times the people will try to suck you in. Yeah, but you don't know, you don't understand how it is. You know, it's like this draws you forth in this lower fourth dimensional templates. And it's not, again, the cosmic heart. So there's a lot of guilt that can come through that. If it's not your own self-guilt and your own undermining of yourself and being critical, it can often come from others. Because if you still have somehow hooks within you, the people who come, it's from others, it's still from you. But it's because you still have those hooks. And watch my video that I created, I don't know, a while ago about Ascension and hooks. These hooks are basically these programs that still are running. It's like a parallel program that keeps running alongside of your true being. But because it's still running along, you're still going to have a manifestation of it, even if it's just a partial, even if it's just momentary, it's still going to be a manifestation of that. So in those times, you have to recognize it. You have to work with both awareness, which is the light, the understanding, and then with the love, which integrates. And that's the cosmic heart. Your inner being, your outer being is this divine child we have birthed, and we have here in this beautiful creation that experience all of this through the integration of the cosmic heart and mind, the divine father and mother self, and then birthing our divine child. So when you're doing these things mentally, you're going to quickly have distortions. And when you know how to observe your reality, you will see. And this guilt can make you feel so, oh, darn it, am I going too fast? Should I be with others because they're still suffering? You're not helping. The higher your awareness and embodiment of light and form, the higher your mission. It's not perhaps so evident quickly what your influence is spreading far and out. One example like this is my mother. She always works from behind the scenes. She's not doing video. She's not talking to anyone like that except certain people she meets outside when she goes to her hikes and so. But her energy is reaching forth for so many. Sometimes I just share photos and people can feel it. And I've had many reports by people saying, I felt the energy, somehow it shifted something in me. That's our higher mission. And when I say mission relates to something that you are actually implementing as a higher purpose for being here. Everyone who's here has a life purpose for growing within. But the mission, those of us who are mission agents in a way, we also have the part that is our mission, which is also to assist a bigger group of people and a bigger plan. That's not just our own story and our own learning and evolution. So that's the mission. And when we function from those levels, there's going to be like new expansions, because guilt gets us again in this lower third dimensional, fourth dimensional essences. And we're not to doubt ourselves and feel guilty because our lives are really now being manifested from this higher reality. And a lot of you are now at the stage. A lot of people are reporting to me, I can feel that, I can feel the magic. Well, magic is the essence of the fifth dimension. Then there's also the miraculous reality and far beyond. But this is where we are now. There's a lot of us here, volunteer souls, who function on much broader realities. This is the fifth dimension. A lot of us are already fully galactic beings. But this is where we're now. Do you see? The integration is always with our now. The humanity now is in this fifth opening, right? That's where we are. That's where we need to be with. And I see a lot of people talking about, yeah, but I'm this avatar, la 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 la. Okay, I get that. Let's say I do. Not really, but I'm just joking. But I want to say that we have to be with where we are now in our embodiment, okay? So look at where humanity is, because you're a part of humanity now. For those of you volunteer souls, it doesn't matter so much where we came from. Those levels are in parallel, already existing. They're coexisting with you. But be with where we are now as humanity. This is where we're serving. This is the level we're assisting now. And guilt can get you so fast into these lower planes. So don't feel guilty for your creations. They have been earned. They have come through your soul initiation. They have been truly integrated. When they are, nothing will move you from this space. And I've witnessed this transformation taking place within my mother. She's gone through as a soul within the first stages of me assisting her awakening and ascension, because she's been with me for years, And she's been through the lowest in pain and hypochondriac states, years ago. And she was so attached to these things and pains and stories. And now she's ascended. She's really moved into her light being. And it's beautiful to watch. And she's one of my rarest examples that I get to physically see how it transformed. And I'm so happy. I'm really blessed. And once you're in that state, you can't go back. It's there. You've anchored it. It's done. People sometimes will fear this is, but what if then I shift back? No, you can't. That's how you know you're fully integrated, because nothing moves you back. This is when you're truly ascended, and that's when you know. What else? So when we are on this plane, there's going to be things happening, things coming into reality that might feel in a way new, right? But where people are, like I said, we are broadcasting these signals. Like Ascension pioneers are always a bit ahead from the majority, but what we're doing is we're creating a new paradigm, a new collective. But it's not collective on the mental plane. It's a new heart, cosmic heart of the beloved plane of existence that we're co-creating together in this synthesized union. That it's not that the old systems and that which manipulates through the lower mental planes, because if it doesn't have leverage, if it doesn't have something to feed on, it will dissipate, it will dissolve. But until it still has food to process and something still feeding it energy, it exists. Once it doesn't, it cannot exist. And that's what we're doing. We're creating creating this fusion in your reality from creating our own. So work a lot with the sound, because the sound will literally physically shift the frequency. Like if there's a situation you're finding yourself in, you know, I do these beloved songs, but not just that, I do tonal attunement with this higher celestial frequencies. I can just sit somewhere on a bench and I start singing like, so just one example, it's very random, but I wasn't prepared, by the way. It's just you shift the energy, and the sound is always the purest frequency because the sound is the origin of all creation. And then you start to process it, then you start to bring it through your fusion, through your cosmic heart, work with the elements to make it physical. But you also transmute a lot of the energy through the sound. If the sound is pure, the sound has to come through your crystalline heart and the crystalline grid of light. Watch the previous video where I explain all about this. And this gets us into this pure state so that our manifestations are pure, because as long as they're still mentally influenced, we're going to always have to go back, you know, purify that. We're always going to have to rewatch, redo, rethink, restructure until one day, bam, full heart expansion. And I said higher heart. Sometimes I just speak fast and it just comes out a weird way. And I create new words with that. But that's Ascension too, because the fifth density is the creation of new things. It's the creation of things that logically you would not know they could happen. Reason could not say this could happen. And if you have a real heart's desire, and somehow your mind is still saying, the heart says, I do believe that. But the mind says, not believe, but the heart just feels it, right? Like I had this jolt of joy. But the mind will say, but somehow I can see it coming about. How? How is this possible physically? I cannot see it, going through the physical laws. It's because the physical laws always come from the spirit laws, if we function through the universal principles, right? And understanding of the mastery of creation. And once we plug into that, we tune into, we create this inner alignment, higher heart, higher mind, we're in unison, then everything starts to align with that. But sometimes it's just a matter of divine timing, and we can't see it yet because we haven't yet walked the whole path, right? We don't see the whole path. And that's how the mind is. That's when you know you're in the mind. The heart says, everything is in the now. I already felt it. I might not have physical evidence. Where's the evidence? The heart does not need proof or evidence. But the wishy-washy part, which is the mind, sometimes also creates in the other, that's the other part of the mind, which is the non-developed mind, which assumes too fast, too quickly. And sometimes you're like, yeah, but you're not embodied yet in that. You don't yet master something that could, produce that in the physical reality. So let us no more say that our thoughts create. That's the mental plane. These things came into being in a lot of the New Age circles so people could, again, access more of the mental plane. So that we could not be an organic human. What is the organic human? Cosmic heart of creation, Divine Mother, and the love Divine Father, cosmic consciousness. And it is so simple. But sometimes, when you try to supersede it in a way like, I need to move into that awareness, you have to let it go. I can't explain this because it was a part of my own process, how I got there. But we all incorporate also these ancestral patterning. So we have to do our own inner healing first, and the ancestral healing that we work on these higher levels and the planetary level, and then, interstellar, cosmic, galactic. So we have to allow the life force to sometimes dissolve these programs through us. We have to allow our lives. We have to enjoy our lives too, because if we mentally want to change again, this person I relate to, right? I gave you as an example because it's funny and it's not yet funny, right? In the same part, it's two coins, right? Two sides of the same coin. I remember the person, because it was so funny, because someone told them later, they said, well, you're very mental, you have very strong mental perceptions. And he was like, no, how do I solve that? And he tried to mentally solve the mental planes. It was funny because it's like the lack of perception and the scrambled awareness that a lot of these programs have created for, through the humans that are just not that aware yet. These distortions come into play like this, and you have to observe yourself with a little bit of humor, please. And that's why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at anyone. I'm laughing at this whole process, because I never laugh at anyone. It's just laughter. It's seeing how you have to take it with humor, you know, like the great masters do it. The Buddha laugh. It's like you have to see sometimes your own scrambled brains, illusions, misconceptions, deceptions. You have to see it with humor and admit to yourself, well, that was such a big illusion. What was I doing? What was I thinking? Oh yeah, I was growing. It was a part of my integration. And I can laugh about it because it's okay, because I'm allowed to be human. The other part is less aware, because you're trying to be so serious about it, how to solve it, you know. It doesn't work. You're just criticizing yourself and you're pushing against the wall, and that's not truly assisting you from the higher planes. So such deep compassion we need for this process, so much patience, because sometimes we incorporate, right, like I said, these patterns. A lot of volunteer souls, we all have imprints. But when you clear them, I can't explain this to you because I recently experienced this completion within this clearing. It was like, it's just no more there. It doesn't mean your growth stops, not at all. I'm not saying that. It's growth, it's taking it on bigger levels then, and it's still growth, it's still expansion. But this part, when you know you've completed this part with the imprints, it's just, the energy feels so pure, and it's like you see life with this joyful, exuberant, non-conditioned, heart-based inner kid, inner child. Everything's so magical. And people will still judge that, and they will say, you're weird. What's wrong with you? And other people will be like, oh my God, look at that being. They're shining. They're like a sparkle in this, in the universe, because they embody literally the laws of the universe within themselves, because they have mastered that. And they do embody that. They don't feel like an empty shell trying to process and reason. It's just so felt. It is so deep. It's so vast. And it's profound. So a lot more will be shared in my book. I'm taking a short holiday now to be back until solstice. I will update you when the whole process is finished. I will share with you a part of this and my creation, as well as other things. And I've shared in my previous video in the Galactic Update about little inclinations of my next steps in my mission, in my alignment, where I am, how I'm meant to serve, because we do need to know our core. Because a lot of times, you know, people will think things about you if you still are fully not aligned with that essence. So when you align with the self, everything else will align. And if you have a misconception about you, like I am here in this mountain portal, and I've helped to co-create this portal because a part of my group, and it's a bigger mission than just me here in the physical. I'm just the grounded aspect of that mission. But there's, you know, aspects we might have as preconceived notions about ourselves that are not true. And I'm always in the mountains, and when people look at me, they could say, oh, she's a mountain guide, right? When I come to her retreats, I'm going to go for mountain guidance. No, I'm not a mountain guide. Get a professional guide to guide you like that and go climbing. That's not what I do. I work with light. I work with life force. And people who will come here will have to know that. And that means that I have to be fully aligned with that, so that people who come are going to be manifested through that. Because that will be the heart of the beloved that, you know, makes this possible and probable through me, this manifestation. And I wanted to also explain this as the difference between the possible and the probable. Because the possible is that which is everything, right? But the probable is the most probable reality, most attuned to your spirit in this now moment. So when you are becoming in this, you know, vast expansion of everything and all life, you still have to zoom back through your own microcosmic nature, which is the probability of what most fits you and what is more aligned, most aligned with your core. So that's the difference of that. And if you want to have more explanations about this, there's a vast array of videos that I made throughout these years. I'm not saying goodbye. In a way, I am. Because there will be new things coming, and I will just naturally slip into that. But I am saying goodbye to this chapter of 7 years. It's been truly grand. It's been big, and I have tears, you know, when I think about that, because so much was happening. Like me making these videos, going on these paths, sharing with you. I see I'm laughing. It's so cool. It's all been through the heart. It's all been always like this, because I'm a light being. I always have been. I always assisted, you know, in this way, in a natural way, an organic way, not through teaching. It's not mental. A lot of these teachings, they're just, it always repelled me because it's just not pure. It's not so organic like we are. We are like that. We're like beautiful, beautiful, pristine children of creation. And a lot of beings have forgotten about this. So they've created these distortions of themselves. They're not really them. But you have to shift into your awareness of your core so you can see people through their core. And it helps them to align with their core when they're ready. So that's the biggest mission here, is to see and visualize everyone held within the cosmic heart and union, the cosmic heart and mind of God. And your own union, your own illumination. And that was it. I will update you soon for what's to come more. I'm wishing you such a beautiful time. This is a huge expansion, this lunation now in Sagittarius, which is always about that expansion. And you can read my blog because I've written a lot about Jupiter and Venus and this alignment and what it means for us and our ascension. But when I get back from my holiday, I'll complete some of the things. I'll update you on that. And I'll see and we'll see where we move from there on. And you can always help to support my work through donating, buying my courses because they're super good. I've received so much beautiful feedback from those of you already doing these courses, especially the Tantrika Life Force Mastery course. It's really powerful. And thank you for upgrading yourself so you can be in a greater assistance as the light in this world, as the hope of this world, and the illumined one here in this realm, in this creation. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I love you all so much, as always, with love, wisdom, and power. And as I like to say, Polona out. Aurea out. Bye. So, my sweethearts, I also wanted to explain a little bit how working with the pendulum works. Because your hands, right, are actually extensions of your heart. It's the energy of the heart coming through. So when you are aligned with the heart and you're not too confused, that's why you need to meditate a bit, to, just be in that safe, sacred spot. Not necessarily just meditation, because you can meditate and still be very mentally oriented. But that state of balance integrates itself. So when you are asking a question, always do it from the present time, like, am I this? Am I in this space? Am I going in this direction? It's like affirmations in the now, because otherwise you're always projecting again into the future, which is, should I this? Will that happen? Don't do that, and then it should come as a natural extension of you, right? Let's try higher, although my hands are pretty ouch when I do that. If an answer is yes, it's supposed to be like this, right? Up and down front, because it's like you nodding your head, right? So this would be a yes, affirmative. So in the beginning, you could program your pendulum by saying, this is a yes answer. This is a affirmation. This is a positive direction for me. And then when it's a no, it's almost like you're nodding your head like this, like a no, right? You're saying, this is not for me. This is not my path. This is not affirmative. This is a negative response or result for me. And bring it into the now. So when it circles, right, like this, it's usually I don't know, or it's not time yet, or I need more information, or it just makes weird rotation. So remember that you really have to be present, because a lot of people don't know how to work with the pendulum, and the results would change, of course, because if you're doing it from the mind will influence it, and you're changing your mind, it will reflect that. So if you work with the heart, from the heart, use it like this as an extension. And imagine that through your hands before every session that you begin is the energy moving from your hands, from your heart into your hands. And just do that. And do it in your sacred space. Like I like to do it outside when it's pure. And when I'm really in my own true heart. So it's really affirmative. But I want to say something else. You can have partial manifestations and they don't yet feel fully fulfilled. Like just yesterday we went to this restaurant. We wanted to have some vegan pizza, and I just basically wasn't about the pizza. Pizza was an intermediary. It was about me enjoying the view and the castle by the lake. And we wanted to have this table outside because it was warm and nice, and the dusky light was there present. And when we got there, it wasn't like all the best tables were, at hand. So we took one table, but it wasn't a good one, and there was some really loud people dance vibrations there, and I didn't like it. So I went to the restroom and I said, this is not my manifestation. I refuse, and then I came out. What happened? I went to my mother's and I said, I don't really feel we should sit there with you. And she said, no. And then we just took our stuff, went somewhere else. And as I went and I looked, two girls literally set up and they went indoors so we could have their seat, and it was perfect. And the life force will just get you what you are worthy, what is your true manifestation, what you really desire, because your inner child of creation wants to experience itself authentically, not have those half-halves. It's okay, it's enough for me, I can get that, I'm okay with that, always making these compromises. And it just, enough is enough. It doesn't feed your soul. It doesn't nurture your soul. It has to be a moment worth of bliss, because that's when you bring joy into yourself and you radiate joy. You give light assistance to the world, and you should do that without guilt, without thinking, oh, I shouldn't have a good seat because then someone else won't. There's enough for everyone. Align yourself with the infinite abundance of all. And, those two girls, I didn't say anything. They just went. It was simultaneously when we shifted the seats and I wanted to sit somewhere else and they just left. I was laughing because when you affirm, no, I refuse, that's not my manifestation. That's a partial manifestation and it's not what I truly desired. Or you can leave or find a new place or whatever. Just know that you don't have to settle for things, because that's not the fifth density. It's not your joyful experience in the now. So I hope this assists as an additional information to this video. And I'm just really excited about everything new that's coming. And I hope you can feel it as well in your beautiful sacred heart of nothing but bliss and joy. Take care. I am a pillar of divine love. I am a vessel for complete alignment with the heart and mind of God. I am unified within myself, and so it is. I create fully from the deepest presence of my being, illuminating through my liquid light essence of the light body self, enjoying, embracing joyfully my inner playful creative child of upliftment and complete gratitude of the infinite abundance that is co-created through the cosmic heart of the Divine Mother, and the infinite consciousness, the awareness created through the Divine Father. I am fully whole and complete, and I step into my cosmic beloved heart of unity, unified, integrated as a being of light. So be it. So it is.